Hi, everyone, and welcome to my I Love Learning podcast today. I am super excited, number one, because I made it back from my travel, and I have joining me Dr. Susan Baumgaertel, and she is such a delight. And I'm going to have her introduce herself, but I want to tell everyone that she really made an impact on me. I connected with her through a mutual growth group, and her story is really inspiring. And every obviously I have people on my podcast that have had hurdles and overcome them and continue to grow and develop, and she is just such an inspiration. So thank you, Susan, for coming on my podcast today and sharing a little bit about yourself and your story. So can you just tell everyone briefly who you are and really what you're passionate about?
Oh, thank you, Gina. I'm delighted to be here. This is really such a good forum, so thank you very much. Yeah, I'm from Seattle, Washington, the other coast, and grew up in Ontario, Canada. So came back to
Ah.
Washington State and actually majored in architecture and urban planning. So that was different. I went off to med school after that. I've been a physician in internal medicine for, gosh, almost 31 years now. Hard to
Mm.
believe. I just really, my passion is caring for people, of course. But I'm multidimensional, so I would say that being a physician is not just everything. So I'm
Mhm.
married. I've been a mom for 24 years. I'm actually learning to be a Navy mom. So my daughter's in the
Mm.
military, so that's a big journey for me. Talk about learning curve.
Yeah.
My passions also include art and nature and connecting with others. Oh, and writing because I'm a new author. So just a lot of different things.
Yeah, and you go to your LinkedIn page and there's just so much in your website and so many awesome resources for folks that need help and want to connect. So I really appreciate that. And being a doctor, this is kind of an interesting question to ask you because you would think that since you're a medical doctor that you probably have everything together and there's never been anything that's ever stood in your way. Like you always think like when you go see the doctors, right, that they have really everything together. And maybe you could share a little bit about maybe something in your life that you've had a hurdle with or that you faced a roadblock that stood in way of your passion for caring for people or your art or all those other awesome as an author, all those things that you do.
Well, gosh, we're human too, right?
Mhm.
I think,
Absolutely.
I'm a patient too. We're all patients. When I see my doctor, it's like they're only human. So we have to kind of reground ourselves. But I think maybe the pandemic rubbed that in all too much.
Mhm.
No, I was thinking about that question really, and I guess my career transition kind of took a big turn, and I pivoted away from full-time clinical medicine after 25 years, and that was about 3 years ago. It was kind of in the middle of the pandemic. And I started my own business. It's called My MD Advocate. And really, this was Mount Everest in terms of the
Mhm.
hurdle. I mean, this was a major roadblock. It wasn't just a speed bump. And
Mhm.
I think looking back, I mean, did I realize at the time? Maybe not. But looking back, allowing myself to just really pause, kind of just rest, being okay with not knowing the next steps, right? And then just regaining my creativity because that was so key in how I kind of then moved forward. And really the learning part was how to start my own business. And I
Wow.
ended up creating something unique. So that whole process took many months. And many times, it was very easy to feel self-defeated or just kind of completely overwhelmed.
Wow.
But just kind of getting out from the fog was a beautiful
Mhm.
thing. And looking back, hindsight's always 2020, thinking like,
Mhm.
wow, I've gone through a lot. So that was big,
Mhm.
and it allowed me to then develop and grow further. So I'm really grateful. But yeah, that was an important time.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I know starting my own business, like what that's like, and kind of, the courage it takes to do. And especially as a medical doctor, I mean, you think, wow, here I am, a medical doctor. I've really kind of made it, right? And then I'm just going to leave it and start my own business. So that takes a lot of courage. And, I mean, is there something in particular that you kind of saw through that process that you overcame that really helped you get to where you are today? I mean, something that maybe was helped you kind of move through that.
I guess, it was really, I was clear with myself that I wasn't retiring.
Mm,
I was clear with myself that I wanted to still be a doctor, but I knew I wanted to do something different. And so, changing my path still allowed me to be of service to people. And that was really important. So I wasn't just like closing up and owning a
mm.
bookshop or something. So, nothing wrong with that.
Uh-huh.
And I think really the thing that was, I guess the word empowering is used a little too much, but the thing that was empowering for me was that getting the feedback from others that
Mm,
I was making a difference, because I'd done that
mm,
all my career in terms of
mm.
helping people. And I wanted to still, we all need that love, right? And so I
Yeah.
still needed that. And so making a difference for people in this new way was really important. I also wanted to make sure I was staying connected to people. That one-on-one connection to me was really important.
Mm.
So I wasn't just going to hole up in the wall and kind of just, type on a computer and never talk to someone again. That was not my shtick. And so,
Yeah.
continuing to help people with many different types of healthcare challenges.
Mm.
I felt like, gosh, I'm a natural fit for this. I've been doing this for so many years. I can use my wisdom, I can use my
Yeah.
experience, and it's just kind of approaching it from a different way. So that was very grounding for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I really, the whole process of you being able to help people like outside of the healthcare realm is, I think, really, really powerful. I mean, to have the ability to do that. And that to me, I mean, can be so impactful because a lot of people need help. And I actually explored this option with you and
Mm.
found, I mean, you specifically can help folks in the state of Washington, but you have resources on your website that can help individuals who have specific hurdles. So I really do appreciate that. Is there anything that like keeps you inspired every day to want to continue to do this? Because, like you said, you could retire, but you don't. So, what is it that makes you want to continue along this journey of your passion?
Yeah, one of my colleagues that I saw on LinkedIn, and we connect on LinkedIn, Dr. Gretchen Richards, shout out to Gretchen.
Go,
She
Gretchen.
had this term that she had heard, she didn't invent, but she told me about, called portfolio career. It's like, oh, that's me, And so
Oh,
kind of the blending of a lot of different things together. And to me, that
hmm,
really hit home with that kind of creative
mm,
spirit that I really like to cultivate. So that really kind of keeps me going and keeps me focused. Not every day is the same, right? So there's a lot of
right.
variety. I like that as well. Not that I'm a control freak, but boy, is it nice to be my own boss. Oh, after
Absolutely.
all these, after more than 30 years, actually probably 40 years, I like to do, something for me, for others, kind of on my terms. Is like, wow, that's like the golden moment, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then just staying
Mm-hmm.
connected, which I said before, the fact that I can just, meet up for people, coffee dates, walk dates, talk,
Mm.
even Zoom chats, and really connecting with people on a lot of different levels. That to me is really, really valuable. So it feeds my spirit.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I was going to ask what makes you happy. I
Yeah.
mean, but every day, we continue to learn and grow. And I mean, you said this, you just said it, connecting with people. And I say this all the time. I was with a client just yesterday and we talked about building meaningful connections. I mean, really, truly connecting and making a difference. And it sounds like that makes you happy. Is there anything else that you do that keeps you happy and wanting to continue to learn and grow?
Well, for all those parents out there, I'm a parent, and my
Mm,
daughter is, going to be 24 this month. And as she's an officer in the U.S. Navy,
mm,
I feel like it's my duty, military term, to kind of
uh-huh.
learn about her process, to learn what it means to be a Navy mom. And, that to me is exciting because this is like a whole new area I'm not familiar with.
Mm,
And I feel like it's important for, obviously, for parents to support their kids and especially when they're adults.
mm.
But that's a part of my journey too now. And so I think that it keeps things exciting. Sometimes
Wow.
terrifying, but
Yeah, well, thank you for to your daughter for I know this is such a difficult time, our country and for your daughter and I mean, thank you so much and thank her so much and
thank you.
goodness, I mean, I think that all of us need to learn and grow and understand kind of what the state and what they're going through because they need us, we need them, and yeah, it's an important journey for sure.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, I mean, is there something that like through that journey with her, or maybe through this idea of building a company that really left an impact on your thinking that like maybe you were thinking one way and now this like idea has shifted the way that you perceive how things are?
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm hearkening back to my book writing process because never had written a book before. So
Mhm.
brand new author, didn't know the industry, had no idea what I was doing. And frankly, it was kind of overwhelming because what do you do when you're trying something new? Well, you research, you ask around, you
Mhm.
figure out other people have done it before, learn from them. So I
Mhm.
did all that. And it really was challenging for me because I felt like I was still flopping around. And,
Mm.
I kind of came to the point of like, oh, do I need an agent or, do I go to the big five or I'm going to hybrid or do I self-publish? Like there's so
Mhm.
many choices. It was overwhelming. And
Right.
so that was kind of a critical time because I kept thinking like, oh, if I do this, oh, that's a mistake. And not
Mm.
realizing that, well, yes, there are mistakes. Like you can make a poor business decision, right?
Mhm.
But I think that whole process kind of gave me more confidence than I realized I had at the time, perhaps. And
Mm.
so when I ultimately decided to self-publish for a bunch of reasons,
Mhm.
I felt a real kind of vulnerable. But
Uh-huh.
then looking back, I think like, wow, that's like the best decision I made. So it
Oh.
was just, I enjoy talking about that now because
Uh-huh.
it seemed like it was almost insurmountable at the time. And now it's like, ooh, I can do that.
Yeah, tell us about your book. Tell us a little bit about your book. I know that
Yeah.
you can obviously get it online and just tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about it.
So, it's called the Menopause Menu. Of course, you can get it at
Mhm.
Amazon. And truly, it's not just for women. Okay, that's another
Right.
learning part because, of
Yeah.
course, I set out to help women who are pre, peri, postmenopause and on their midlife
Mhm.
journey. But,
Mhm.
as I started to eventually talk to people and do podcasts, I realized, whoa, it's for men too. Because
Mm.
there's like everyone knows someone who's going through menopause, right? It could be
Mm.
their mother,
Mhm.
their aunt, their sister, their colleague, their who know. So it
Right.
became this kind of, open book in terms of it can help a lot of people. And I
Mhm.
really did not want it to be a medical manual. So it's
Got
not
it.
full of a bunch of words you have to look up. I also didn't want to dumb it down. Like it's not just a
Mm.
throwaway, fluffy thing. So it's kind of in the middle. So there's good information,
Mhm.
but it's experiential. And so when I was a little girl,
Uh-huh.
I remember way back when, long before the internet, right? You had books. And my mother, that's a joke.
Yeah.
My mother, who's an artist, we had these
Mhm.
gorgeous coffee table books.
Oh,
Maybe it was
yes.
Georgia
Mhm.
O'Keeffe, or maybe it was Emily Carr, The Group of Seven, or Degas, or Renoir, who knows
Uh-huh.
what. And
Mhm.
you'd open them up. They're heavy. You put them in your lap
Mhm.
and you look at this beautiful picture, maybe for 5 minutes, and you read the caption or something, and you move on because life's busy. Well, I wanted to do a coffee
Mhm.
table book on menopause. So
Ah,
my book has like 35 pictures. There's art, there's
yeah.
there's photographs, there's 16 recipes, so it's kind of a
I
cookbook.
know.
So it's just kind of an experience, and that's the thing that I
Mhm.
really was happy about,
Mhm.
because in that way it kind of, it's interesting for all to enjoy.
Absolutely. I like it because it like you said, I mean, there's just different components of it that really speak to you, like the recipes and just different ideas, so that's outstanding. One of the things I like to study and research is this idea of authentic learning and writing a book and going through this journey. Do you have any specific tips or ideas of what it looks like? What does authentic learning look like to you?
Yeah, and I've had a chance to think about that, and I think there are a number of ideas I would share. One is it's being brave enough and being humble enough
Mm.
and being curious enough, to
Mm.
move forward with an idea on a new path. So just kind of, not sure where you're going, but you have to kind of let things flow. It's
Mm.
also being open to flopping around. Like you're gonna screw up a lot,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
being okay with that, which is always hard. It's learning this kind of ebb and flow, and there's an ebb and flow with anything, especially things that are.
Mhm.
It's also focusing on the here and the now, right? But with an
Yeah.
eye towards that long game. So it's just kind of it's a very fluid process, and I think that can kind of, you can feel like a cocoon. You can feel very supported if you keep that focus.
Absolutely, and then coming out of your cocoon, you just blossom. So I love that analogy. I haven't heard that described before in that way, so that's beautiful. Thank you. I really do feel like you touched on something very specific, and it's this idea of being brave, having courage. And this podcast really focuses on individuals that have a mind of a champion, and that's one of the qualities that I define having when you have a mind of a champion. And so sometimes, and a lot of times, a lot of folks, and I'm sure a lot of people you talk to, and yourself and myself, you go through times that are difficult and really hard.
Yeah.
You lose a job, you lose a friend, you lose a loved one, you lose your confidence. I mean, there's just so many examples of when you've lost your passion. Maybe you've lost your passion for learning, or maybe, you're at the end of the rope and you don't know where to go. What advice would you give to someone that's feeling these thoughts and these ways of helping them move forward and getting to that brave cocoon and, being able to come out and on the other side?
Yeah, I would say, hit that pause button. Just
Mm,
kind of stop, be still. Life gets so fast. It's
mm,
24/7. It comes at you every which way. And just kind of pause. Really connect with what matters to you, because we sometimes lose track of that, right?
yeah.
Learn your why. I know that's kind of
Mm,
overstated, but why are you doing what you want to do? Learn that being kind to yourself doesn't
yeah.
mean you're being selfish.
Right.
Reclaim your energy. If you pause and stop and be still, you can reclaim your energy.
Mhm.
You can focus on simplifying things, because again, so much of our lives are so complicated. Try new things. Maybe you just have to
Mm.
mix things up a little bit. And then my favorite, which is maybe one of your favorites, is really just stay connected to others. It doesn't
Yeah,
mean that they know exactly what you're going through, but you can really get a lot of energy from people.
absolutely. Getting up, stepping outside, right? Like if you're in your room, just having the courage, having the bravery to get up for the day. I saw one of my connections this morning posted something with a sunrise saying yesterday was hard, but today is a new day. And it's absolutely right. Be connected with each other. Susan and I connected online. We've never met face to face, but I feel very connected to Susan. And, you can find people in your life that you can reach out to and get help. Absolutely. Susan, what else would you like to share today? Any final thoughts or any final words of wisdom from your experience that you'd like to share?
Well, this might sound like a doozy to say for the end, but I was recently treated for cancer. And I
Wow.
think
Yeah.
when things happen that are just kind of like gut-wrenching, life-changing, and just
Mhm.
shake things up, that's another reason to pause and kind of regroup and be still and go forward.
Mhm.
But I'm not going to sound so pithy, everything happens for a reason, but you know what? Everything happens for a reason. And so I think,
Mhm.
things that are challenging in our lives and actually maybe not very palatable or downright
Mhm.
horrible, get through it. There's almost always another end, and that new beginning or freshness. I
Mhm.
think you can teach yourself to really look at things a little differently. And life is a lifelong learning process, and so I think that that's just one of many things that define us and that we grow from and learn from.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so glad that you are here and you're feeling better and things are moving forward. And I really appreciate you. Susan, let everyone know where they can reach you, find you, where they can look up your book, your resources. And thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So my business website is mymdadvocate.com. That's for anyone to look at, but for patients who are in Washington State, they can work with me. My free website, Menopause Menu, is of course for anyone thinking about menopause issues, but I have other goodies there, and it's both an
Mm.
information site as well as a blog site and videos and recipes. So it's a lot of fun. I do have a YouTube channel, God forbid, we all do. And then my book, which is the Menopause Menu, is available on Amazon.
Uh-huh.
And it's that's for the soft cover. It's also available ebook in Amazon, Apple Books, and Barnes and Noble. People who are interested in doing book parties, I do both in person and Zoom, so check it out.
Oh,
And
I love that. I
I
didn't know
love,
that. That's
there's nothing
great.
better than getting 10 women or
Yeah.
men together and chatting about this, and we just really have a blast.
That's awesome. Well, I'm definitely going to post your resources on my social media so you all can connect with Susan. Susan, thank you so much for being here today. I